Welcome to my channel. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. It's Chris. We're here at Christmas Crossing at Rainbow Bridge. And we're just going to do a reading tonight. Just kind of see what's going on with the energies of the universe and the vibrations. Hi, I'm right here. I'll just get this camera angled so that you can see the cards, but you can see me too. I am right here. Hello. So, let's get started. I've already cleansed our space. Let me just take a moment. Okay, I'm ready. Let's see what the cards have to say tonight. I hope this video finds you all well. And I think I'm actually going to start a live stream over doing this. So please just be patient with me. If you don't want to wait, feel free to fast forward. If you want to, that is a-okay with me. Get the cards out here and see what's what. So there's a lot going on right now. We just had the most recent solstice, which is a not solstice, eclipse, which is a solar eclipse. Kind of a big deal. And Saturn and Uranus are squared off. I was listening to one of the people that I really enjoy. It's just a bowl of salt and some various crystals here that I'm going to take out for us to have. And this nice little dragon knife that I really enjoy. Put that that way. Alright. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and do that live stream. I believe I can do it on Facebook. Let's see what happens. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and flip this camera around. Let's see, tag friends. Most of my friends live in America right now. It's the middle of the night in most of America. But I do have a few people here there from the UK, I believe. There's at least one. She's not on here. That's weird. Oh. So we might have to edit out the first part of this video. We shall see. Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you're having a blessed day, or night, depending on where you are. I'm just going to go ahead and invite somebody to this, in case she's interested to be here. 1 second. Okay. And I suppose I could also go live on Insta. Not quite sure how well that'll work, but we'll give it a shot. Alright. Hi everybody, it's Chris. Thank you so much for coming to join me on my video today. Hopefully you can see with what I'm doing here. Let's see. Trying to just give us a good spot for this reading so you can see what's going on. Hopefully you can see pretty well there. Alright, cool. I think that'll work. So, first things first, we need to start off by figuring out what cards want to be read today. And so that's a little process that I like to go through. I've got some crystals here and some water and some salt and a few of the items that help me with my energy and spiritual work. I am a channeler and a medium. I also do tarot cards. I work with divining rods and a variety of other tools to help me communicate with energies, entities, elementals, and more. Before we started, I meditated on the cards and cleansed the space. So we should be having a nice reading this evening, or this morning, depending on where you are. So we're going to figure out what we're going to do first. Come on me with this journey. I have 13 decks to choose from, so it might take just a minute for us to figure out which deck we want to use first. Let's see here. Take the tarot out. Okay. Just listening to my guides. Oh, I can use this one. All right, gotcha. Just listening to my guides as they give me their advice on how to go forward with this. I never do any of my work alone. I always have at least one guide, but typically I have five guides from heaven and ancestors as well. Ancestors tend to be around me all the time. So we're going to start off with an oracle card reading, okay? Just letting Spirit choose which deck I'm going to use. Alright. Now as we move forward, I would love to have some votes from anybody and everybody that's interested in giving me your feedback, so please feel free to leave me your feedback in the comments. Let me know if you like what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. Let me know if you have any input or advice. I've seen that some readers take all their decks out and have them out of the box before they start. I haven't been doing that, but I think maybe if I did that, it might make the videos shorter and make it a little bit easier on the viewers. So let me know in the comment section if you think that's a good idea. And I will definitely do my best to do what you'd like to give you a video that you'd actually enjoy watching. So today we're going to start off with the Gratitude Oracle. This is what this deck looks like. Really nice deck. I got this from Eat, Read, Love. So pretty good website. They also have a YouTube channel. They're pretty nice. And they have some really nice items there. I'm like a kid in a candy store when I go on their website. So sometimes I actually have to be careful to kind of stay away from their website because my money just goes straight to them because that's how good their products are, which is not a bad thing. But, you know, sometimes I can get a little carried away. So I hope you're all having a blessed evening or day, depending on what time it is where you are. Oh, a card on the bottom is open-minded. It's a picture of a little baby. And believe. These cards are pretty difficult for me to shuffle, so I'm just going to do my best as we go along here. So this reading is for the collective and anybody who's chosen to watch. I just wanted to let you know that there's been a lot of vibrational energies that are changing lately. There's like a shifting that's happening, that's taking place. And you're part of that shift, whether you know it or not. And that shift is the ascendance into the vibration of love and forgiveness. But how do we get from where we've been recently to a place of love and forgiveness? How can we make it possible for people who have ideological differences that seem insurmountable to feel like they're on the same page, working together? And what would that look like? If we had a vibration of love as the dominant vibration, how could that change our planet and the way that we live? You know, when you go for a walk, maybe you take your kid to the park or something, and you see a person who lives outside, and they're begging for money. Now, some people would judge them for begging for money and say that they're less than. Do you know that person is just like you and me? They just happen to be living outside. So I think it's critical that we open our hearts right now. Because if we listen to what our hearts have to say as opposed to what our mind thinks, it's not going to steer us wrong. The card on the bottom is between. So number 51, if you do numerology, it's going to come out to number 6. And that's what that image is like. It's very, very beautiful. And I hope everybody can see this clearly. So with this card, there's a space in between. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Okay, that means I'm on the right track. There's a space in between what we think is possible and what we know, right? Like, this is real, this is solid. What we know to be true based upon our perceptions and what we believe is possible. When we were little children, most of us believed in things that we no longer believe in. Magical dreams, magical lands, maybe fairy tales, maybe fairies actually. But we were closer to the truth at that time than we are now. So let your inner child wake up. See the magic in everyday life. The universe says, count the petals on the flowers. See the cells that are living in each blade of grass. See the dew on the spider web in the morning. And remember that the magic never changed, but you did. our heart and our mind are constantly at battle, then we are being pulled in separate directions. It creates a conflict inside of us, which feels very complicated. And how can we become unified as humanity if we're conflicted within ourselves? Oh. Children. See, I'm very much tapping into the energy of children. So in this card, we've got two children playing with a spinning top, and one of them is looking at a tiny dolphin and a magical person of some kind, perhaps a fairy, I think it is a fairy, who's riding on the dolphin's back. And then in the background you can see a unicorn, a phoenix, a ship with like dragon insignia on it, a wizard, magical bubbles, a shadow of a little person, and many magical animals that are kind of hard to define, but you can tell that this is the magic that children believe in. This is the magic that still exists. Society would dominate your mind and tell you what to think and how to think. Tell you what's real and what's not real. Call you crazy if you believe in anything like fairies or magic, real magic. And we must come to know that we are all transcendental and we are all multidimensional. We are souls wearing skin gloves. We are in physical bodies, yes. This is real, yes. But it's been proven time and time again that I think it's like 85% of all space and matter on this planet is actually empty space. And what that means is that disembodied spirits are not the only people who have the capacity to move through time and space without actually moving at all. And so in your dreams, allow the things to come to you. Become aware that you're asleep. Know that fear is the mind killer and the dreamer must awaken. And that card was 35, and 3 plus 5 is 8, so that's what you got on that one there if you're into numerology. The number 8 represents eternal life, a never-ending cycle that we're all a part of. And knowing, oh, I'm getting a lot of goosebumps. Okay, I have to tell you this. We're all members of a soul family, and when our loved ones and friends, and sometimes even coworkers, cross through the veil and are on the other side, when we're in the same soul family, we wait for each other before we go into our next life cycle. So many of us have lost loved ones, especially with this recent COVID situation. Which my condolences. I'm truly, truly sorry for your loss, no matter what the cause was. But many of us do have loved ones and friends and even animal friends that are on the other side. And we feel like, there's a part of us that's been ripped out and missing. And that's real and it's raw, and I get that. But this is telling me to tell you to find some solace and some peace in the fact that we're going to celebrate on the other side together. And this has nothing to do with religion, okay? We're going to celebrate on the other side together and compare notes and talk about the lessons that we learned in this lifetime with our soul family. So they're waiting. And if you're really, really missing a loved one, you can do whatever you do with your own faith or without faith, just to sit still in a quiet space if you can. You might have to wait till your kids go to bed. I understand that. I'm a mom too. But, think about them. Maybe write them a letter. Play some of the music that they used to listen to when they were still alive. Light a white candle if it's safe for you to do so. Anything that you feel is proper is not going to be wrong. And when you think about them or you say their name, place your hand over your heart and know that it is true that they are there with you. They absolutely are. Because time and space does not exist. And the veil for them is actually very thin. The veil for us Some of us can actually fold time and space. Believe it or not, it's possible, and it does happen. There's remote viewing, and there's a way to step through dreams into other people's dreams. There's a way to step through time and space and watch a scene that's already happened or that's going to happen in the future. And any psychic will tell you if they have that capacity, which I have all of the clairs. So I can do some of that stuff at times. But so we all have this capacity. I'm not anybody special. You have it too. And if you're willing to be open, you can tell your relatives and your loved ones and your friends on the other side of the veil how much you love them. If you didn't get to say goodbye while their heart was still beating, you can say goodbye still, and they will know. They absolutely will know. So just know that in your heart. The last card from this oracle deck is called Culmination. The number is 55, 5 plus 5 is 10, in numerology 10, and in Tarot represents the end of a journey, the mastering of a skill, going from journeyman to professional. I forget what the level is, but leveling up and like graduating from school, completing something that you've been working really hard on. This can be a personal project, it can be a process of personal growth, it can be, finding a new job, it can be any number of different things. And it's going to be different for each one of us. And in this card we have, did I show you the marionette card? I think I did. We have what looks to be a female fairy. She has antlers. And her hair and what surrounds her are autumn leaves and autumn plants. Really quite beautiful. And when we think about autumn, what does that mean? It's the time when we reap what we've sown. And knowing that there's a time to reap and a time to sow is very important. Because in fall, the ants and some other animals will gather up what they need to survive through the winter. And so some of us are going to be celebrating, and that's a good thing. And some of us are going to be taking stock of what we have and what we need to have. And through that process, we're going to be able to provide for ourselves and our families by having an honest conversation with either ourselves or our family members, and really kind of taking an inventory, whether it be actual literal inventory, looking in your cabinet, what kind of food do you have, do you need to go buy potatoes and rice or whatever, or thinking about what skills you've built and what skills you need to build. So every journey begins with one step. So if you're going to go get a college degree or get a training course, so that you can be a veterinarian or a welder, it's going to be this big when you start out. But as you do one step at a time, and you just do exactly what's in front of you, one day at a time, you make those long-term goals. And so while this card represents the culmination of long-term goals, it also represents the time when you take stock and you recognize what you've accomplished so far and give yourself credit, and then know that we never stop learning and we never stop growing, and we can move on to the next level. And so the seasons teach us so much. Staying connected to the earth is very important. If you consider something momentarily, Gaia gives us everything. Like, literally everything. The only things that Gaia doesn't give us are, maybe like this stone that came from a meteorite. This was not from Gaia. But 99.9999999 stuff in this room was somehow made from or grown from or developed from our Mother Gaia. So whether religious or spiritual or not, even scientifically, we can look at that and say, wow, she has something to say to us. The trees speak, the plants speak, all of the animals speak. Humanity is stuck in our ego and we think that we are superior, but in reality, look at what we're doing. Like, actually stop and take stock of what humanity is doing. Are we really superior? I question that. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it or leave it. If you don't agree, that is entirely your right. And I was going to do one other oracle deck. We're going to do the fairy forest today. This is what this deck looks like. I also got this deck from Eat, Read, Love. Excellent website. As I mentioned earlier, I could spend my entire paycheck there, and I have. So when I started this business, I really got into buying as many things from them as I could, and every single thing that I was able to get was top-notch, good quality stuff. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I don't know why these are upside down. They shouldn't be. Okay. Well, okie dokie then. We'll just take it as it comes, eh? That's how life can be sometimes. On the bottom we've got the Green Witch, number 7, Fresh New Spring, and the Ancient, number 45, which is a number 9, again, culmination, close to 10. Elder, Experience, and Lessons. So those are two kind of like bookends of our lives, right? We start off young, energetic, probably healthy, although not all of us. And with this life force, this vigor, ooh, the golden unicorn, nice. This vigor, this drive, right? And at some point, we wake up and we're a little bit older. Hopefully we're a little bit wiser. And before you know it, you're not a young maiden anymore, you're an old crone. Or an old man. And I think it's really important for us to stop and respect our elders, because respecting youth is great, and celebrating youth, yes, I know. It's really nice to be a certain age and to have certain, energies and so forth, but every age is the right age to be. There is no wrong age. Old people are not gross or weird. All people are gross and weird because we have living bodies, and everybody does things like fart or whatever. So let's stop judging people because they're elderly, because that's really mean. And someday, if you're lucky, you'll be elderly too. And how would you like it if somebody made fun of you? I think it would probably hurt your feelings. I know it would hurt mine. Okay, let's see here. What have we got? I have a couple of cards that are flipping over, so I'm going to just fix this. This is really one of my favorite decks. I'm very much into fairies and brownies and magical folk of all sorts. Oh, very nice. Okay, cool. So on the first one here, we've got number 29, which comes out to 11 in numerology, and 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 is a number of union, transformation, of joining together. So sometimes that can mean reproductive energy. It can mean starting a business. It can mean joining forces. And we have a really beautiful fairy here. It's called Before the Gathering, Celebration, Anticipation, and Event. And she's dressed up like she's going to a party. And I bet you it's going to be a really fun time, because she looks very excited and happy, wants to go show off her beautiful dress and her lovely hairstyle. Oh goodness, that light is making it difficult for you to see this. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. So for this card, let's see here. She's a tree nymph. She likes to be playful and have fun. She stays away from people. And she sees the magic and the power in the trees and in the forest and in the forest creatures. And she eats flowers. So the celebration and the anticipation is that build that we were talking about, that culmination, that number 9 and that number 10 that came up. And that's the gathering together and the knowing, like the 3 of Cups, like the 10 of Cups, like the 10 of Pentacles, that we've worked really hard for something, and now we're going to get a reward. So think not about what's going to happen after the celebration. That's sort of when your air goes out of your balloon at the end of the party and you're tired. Don't think about that. Just stop and acknowledge where you are and where you've come from and how you got to where you are. How much work and effort did you have to put into your life to be where you are today? Take your hand, pat yourself on the back. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself a freaking break, man. I mean, yes, we all have room for improvement, but sometimes it's good to pause and reflect and see what we've already accomplished and celebrate that. Celebrate life. What is the point of being here if we're not celebrating? It's pure light, love, energy. The next card, I think you might find this interesting as well, also has autumn colors. She's a fairy with dark red lipstick and very soft green eyes and red hair. I'm a natural redhead, by the way. The number here is 10. Aha! Here we go again with the number 10, right? And with autumn, again, the culmination of all of the spring and summer's growth, getting ready for winter time, but celebrating. Her name is Astrold. It's kind of hard to pronounce. And it says love, fire, sensuality, and fertility. So like I was saying before, the number 2 and the joining of souls and the sometimes procreation was one of the vibrations I was picking up on, and that is kind of her jam. So she's very, very aware that sexuality is normal and natural, and it's a part of the experience of being alive. And so she's able to celebrate that. She's very fiery, not so much lustful, but I don't know what a word would be for a softer version of lustful, like desirous. She's wanting to have union. She's celebrating how special it is to have union. And this can be gender neutral. It doesn't matter what kind of person you like or what kind of person you are. That's pointless. The idea is that two souls joining as one, and that the reason why we feel so close to one another when we're being intimate in that way is because it's as close as we can possibly get to one another while we're in these physical bodies. Because remember, we are souls having a physical experience, and so when you're being intimate with someone, when you're, in between the sheets, that's as close as our souls can get to one another. And if we respect it and make it special and sacred, it can be one of the most beautiful experiences. And the last card we have here is Bliss. What an interesting combination. This young lady, I believe, is human, but she might be a fairy, possibly. Well, she probably is, because it's the fairy forest. But the number is 42, and 4 plus 2 is 6. In tarot and numerology, my understanding of 6 is that it's a number of spirituality and faith and believing in something, whether you can see it or not. Knowing that you believe that something is going to happen, or you believe in the good of humanity, or you believe that you know the sun is going to rise the next day. It says bliss, contentment, satisfaction, and security. I feel like these cards are kind of lining up, right? They're lining up to me. She's really beautiful, kind of a honey blonde, long hair, and she's just blissed out. Like, I'm not sure if she's sleeping or if she's just so relaxed that her eyes are closed. And the fact that her eyes are closed like that, but it looks like she's in the midst of the forest, perhaps. I mean, she might be in her garden, but she does have a little bit of a blanket or a jacket covering her here. She's a maiden. She's single. What I'm getting from this, from Spirit, is that she's not interested in romance right now. She's enjoying each day as it comes. She's smelling the roses. She's seeing the veins and the wings of the butterfly. I mean, if, wow, I'm getting real big goosebumps. If you know what I mean, maybe you remember when you were young and you would make fairy rings out of daisies, or see the lights far off in the field on the moors. That's the energy that I get from this. Like the Secret Garden. Very, very good card. Okay, so that's what the fairies have to say. Thank you, fairies. Very nice. Oh, well, this got knocked. These are my rods. You know, those rods love to talk. I wonder if anybody wants the rods to talk. Hi, how are ya? Nice to see you all. Thank you so much. Hi. Thank you for joining. Does anybody want the rods to talk? Okay. I'll just ask a couple of quick questions and then we can do some tarot. Okay, hopefully every camera can see this. I'm speaking to my mother, Lexia Jane Brendage, Lexia Jane Luke. If you're here with me, Mother, can you please cross the rods to say hello? Oh, thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. Is it okay if you uncross them again? Thank you, Mom. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a list of people and see who's in the room. I can feel spirit, but I can't always tell if they're quiet and they're just in the background. I can't always tell who's here unless they say something to me. But what I'm sensing is my mom, my Grandma Rudd, my Grandma Brendage, and maybe my Uncle Richard. So let's see if I'm right or not. When I do this, I'm actually closing my eyes. So, and I'm doing my best to like have my arms against my rib cage and then hold my hands, you know, next to each other. So it's true that these can move if I move, and that is true. So, you know, sometimes they will move slightly and that is me, but I'm trying my utmost to not move. So I'm going to close my eyes again. I'm calling out to my grandmother Rudd. Grandma Rudd, if you're here with me today, can you please cross the rods for me to say hello? I just moved a little tiny bit. Thank you, Grandma Rudd. I hope you're having a beautiful day and I love you so much. Do you mind uncrossing them, please? If you don't, I mean, it would be great if you could do that. That would be awesome. I know, I don't want to bug you, Grandma. I just want to say hi and tell you that I love you. And I love you too, Mama. Thank you for saying hi. Grandma Brendage, if you're here with me tonight, would it be okay if you cross the rods so that I can say hello and know that you're here with me? I wonder if maybe she's not here. Grandma Brendage, are you here? Hi, Grandma Brendage. It's so good to see you. I love you. I hope you're having a beautiful day on the other side. I hope you're eating lots of yummy food and you don't have diabetes anymore. She said she's really healthy. Let me see here. Who else? Oh, Uncle Richard. I gotta move a little bit. Sorry about that. Kind of hold my breath when I'm doing this, so then I have to like breathe. Uncle Richard was my dad's brother. He passed when he was 47. Uncle Richard, I'm moving my hand, sorry folks. Uncle Richard, okay, hold on. Hold on, I gotta get steady. Okay, there we go. There we go. Uncle Richard, if you're here with me tonight, do you mind crossing the bars to let me know that you're here so that I can say hello? Oh, thank you, Uncle Richard. It's so nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Did anybody call you Dick while you were alive? Did you like being called Dick? No. Uncle Richard, do you prefer to be called Richard instead of Dick? Thank you for letting me know, Uncle Richard. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. So, for the family members that I just spoke to a moment ago, can you please let me know if there are more of you present that I'm not sensing right now? Can you give me a yes or a no? And if it's a yes, can you please cross the rods? Yes. Thank you for letting me know. Is my grandpa Luke here? My dad's father. Grandpa Luke, are you here? I can't tell. Oh, I think that's a yes. They're not quite crossed. Like if I close one eye, it looks crossed, but if I close the other eye, it doesn't look crossed. Oh, now they're crossed. Hi, Grandpa Luke. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a beautiful day on the other side. I never get to meet you, but I've heard that you were a great musician and you passed that on to me, so thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Grandma Johnston was his wife, so she remarried after he passed, I think like 7 or 8 years later. Grandma Johnston, are you here with me tonight? If you are, can you please cross the rods so that I can say hello? Hi, Grandma Johnston. How are you? It's so good to see you. I mean, I'm not seeing you like I can see the mirror, but yeah, it's good to see you in my mind. I hope you're having a beautiful day today, Grandma Johnston. I love you so much. So anyway, I can continue doing this, but I think you get the idea. A lot of my family members are around me almost all the time. So it's really beautiful to be able to speak with them. And using these rods has actually been very effective. The sad thing is that the rods really only give us yes or no answers. So that's kind of a hassle. The other day I was doing a reading with somebody who lives in the UK, and we were asking questions of spirit, and I was holding the rods like this, and they were going, ow, I can't do it. Okay, so this one was going this way, and the other one was going I don't want to poke my eye out. Anyway, they were going like that, and they were switching, like it was really a trip, and it actually happened for quite a while. I did record that session. I don't know if she would be willing to let me show that clip of that part. I think people would find that really interesting, but it's not my place to tell somebody what to do. I mean, it is a rather private reading, but maybe just the clip might be kind of cool. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Aquarian Tarot deck. I've had this deck since I was 15 years old, and let's just say I've seen a lot of summers since I was 15. So it's a pretty great deck. I really enjoy using it. It's been used well by me, and it's very easy for me to shuffle compared to the other decks. Sometimes when a deck is brand new, it's just like so stiff, right? Especially if the cards are big. And after decades of manual labor, my hands are not what they used to be. I don't have as much dexterity as I used to have. One of the gifts of getting wise and growing old with age is that your hands start to fail, I suppose, after a while, which is kind of sad. So I'm really glad you're here with me today. I hope this reading is somehow bringing you answers, peace, perhaps closure. Please know that I do spiritual readings. I am a medium and a channel. I typically use tarot and rods, but I can use other tools as well for divination, for prognostication, and for spirit communication. Also, if I've got a really good connection, I can actually channel disembodied souls. So if that's something that you need to know about, feel free to message me underneath the video, and I will contact you back later. I'm just going to do a 5-card spread. So the first 2 cards, and this is for the collective, so take what resonates and leave the rest. The first 2 cards are the distant past and the recent past. The middle card is the questioner or the answer to your question. And the 2 cards on the right are the future, the future not too far off, and the future a little bit farther off. And remember that these readings are open to your interpretation as well. As the person getting the reading, your interpretation and meaning is just as significant, if not more, than mine is. But know that I do channel through spirit as well, so there may be some messages that I give you that are from spirit. And you will know if the message is intended for you because you'll feel it in your heart and right here in your solar plexus. So take what resonates, leave the rest. This is a reading for the collective. Okay. In the distant past, we have the 4 of Pentacles reversed. In this card, we see a young person who's actually looking rather gender neutral. If you're familiar with tarot, you'll know what this card typically looks like, more or less. I mean, there are a lot of variations depending on what deck you're looking at. And so I interpret the cards through spirit. We see a cloudy sky behind this youth, and we see mountains on either side. They're wearing a cloak. Nice cloak. So they've got money. They're wearing a hat. This is a person who's a journeyman. They're working hard. They're making progress. But they haven't reached that, that top of the mountain that we were talking about earlier, like when you graduate and you, yay, they're not there. They're disillusioned. They're not going to give up, but they just have to sort of pause for a minute and catch their breath. They have managed to save up some. So pentacles represent earthly goods, earthly possessions, sometimes literally money, but not always literally money. Yeah, so they've managed to save up some kind of security for themselves. They don't have a family, they don't have children. They recently moved out of their parents' home, like within the last 5 to 6 years. And they've got their needs met, but they're definitely not where they want to be. And they feel disillusioned. And that is the distant past. These cards tend to go together, so we're going to make some connections as we go, so don't worry if you're not quite sure yet. The King of Rods. This image is of a king, but if you'll notice, many kings are at the very least in their 30s or so, typically. And he's got a very young appearance. He looks like he might just be like 24, 25, right? And rods represent change, growth, transformation, progress, progression, learning, and sometimes healing. Obviously, he's well attired. He's holding one rod, and although you only see one flower open, there are 3 more buds on the rod. And what I see here is somebody who's made a lot of accomplishments, mastered something in their field, and they're looking into their future to see what's going to be coming next. There's a bird. There's an emblem of a bird on his crown, and the bird is also looking ahead with the wings spread out like this. So the bird is ready to go forward into the future as well. And that's what I'm getting from this card, that, you know, he wants to look into the future. But I just recognized something. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, but wait a second, he's looking here. So when you put the cards together, he's actually looking at the other card. So maybe I interpreted this wrong. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Perhaps he's looking into the past. Perhaps he's looking at all of the things that he's accomplished and taking stock and recognizing, wow, I've done so much, and look where I am now. I think it could mean two different things for different people. It kind of, you know, where does it land for you? How do you feel about it? And in the middle, which is usually the card that answers the question, although your question can be answered at any point in this entire reading, including the Oracle decks. The Seven of Rods. So we have a man holding tightly to a rod. There are two underdeveloped buds on the rod, and below him are 6 rods with open flowers. Right? So when you think about growth and change, you think about when there's a flower that has not opened yet. You hope that flower is going to open, but there's no guarantee. Sometimes you'll buy a bouquet of flowers and there'll be 4 or 5 orchids on there, or, you know, whatever, lilies, and only 3 open, right? Sometimes that last 1 or 2 never open. So what I'm getting here is that these flowers are representative of that growth and that transformation. But he's battle worn and he's tired. He's been competing. He won the battle. He absolutely won the battle. But he's feeling really, really exhausted and battle worn, and not quite sure where to go from here. That's what I'm getting from this card. And remember that the genders are neutral, so if you're male or female or gender neutral, you know, the representation of the card itself is not so much based on the gender as it is just based on the interpretation and the meaning of it. The next card is a major arcana card, the Star. This is a good card, and this is card number 17. So 1 plus 7 is 8. And there we go again with that snake eating its own tail, right? The number of an infinity. The number that says we are all eternal. And we all have eternal life because the soul never dies. And in this card we see what looks like a peacock. Very ornate and beautiful. But in the wings, there are what appear to be, in my estimation, what could be berries, possibly. So what I'm getting from that is fruitfulness and abundance being right in front of your face, but you not seeing it. Abundance, okay, I'm channeling. Abundance comes in many forms, and in our modern society, with our technology and our cars, we seem to have lost track of what abundance actually is. It's not about money. It's not about cars. It's not about iPads. Abundance comes in many forms. It can come in being able to have a baby and being fertile. It can come in being able to go to school, or being able to take a walk, or saying good morning to somebody that you love. Sometimes abundance is smelling the flowers, or feeling the breeze on your face. Sometimes abundance is friends and family. Sometimes abundance is waking up in the middle of the night and knowing that you can put your feet on the earth and that the gravity will hold you regardless of what's happening around you. The star in the sky has 4 major points and then 4 additional points, so it's got 8 points altogether, but it's not completely symmetrically balanced. and there's mountains all around, and no other living thing that we can see. And the star, actually, now that I think about it, is a lunar eclipse, because, well, it might be a solar eclipse, but I believe it's an eclipse because there's a ring around the star of kind of like black light in a way. And when you watch an eclipse, whether it's a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, you'll see things like that. And an eclipse represents, and the way that the mountains are like this, and the bird is right in the middle of those two mountains, represents a transformation and a choice into something major, something that you've been waiting for, something that you've been hoping for, something that you've been afraid to do. Wow, I'm getting goosebumps everywhere. Okay, it represents something that you've been afraid to do for a very long time. But Spirit is telling me to tell you to have faith and step forward. Take that step of faith. Believe. Know that it is possible. Your goals are attainable. They are. This is all a dream. The falsehoods that have been spoon-fed to you since birth, they're not true. You really do create your own reality. And if you begin to know that, then you will know that in a sense, you are the God of your own world. Meaning that God Source Light Energy put a little sliver of light in each one of us. That's our consciousness, right? And that sliver of light that's in each one of us has been silenced by the ego, by greed, by lust, by the things of this world that will all pass away like sands through the hourglass, faster than you think. You're standing here today, in 40 or 50 years, you might still be standing here. So take the leap of faith. Don't be afraid. I feel like many of you are considering, sort of charting off onto your own business venture, maybe partnering up with somebody. Maybe you're not quite sure who to trust, so be careful, be discerning, do your research. But overall, move forward, because there's no wrong direction to go as long as you're moving forward. You've been standing still because you're afraid. But fear is the mind killer. And the last card we got is the Ace of Cups reversed. Oh yeah, I forgot this one was reversed as well, so that changes the meaning. We'll come back to that. The Ace of Cups, so, the Suit of Cups, or the Suit of Cups, depending on how you pronounce it, represents emotions. It can represent love in some instances. And the sun is a very significant symbol in this deck. And so this last card, the Ace of Cups, and it's standing, it's been set up upon what appears to be a table, or perhaps a floor, and there are lilies. Typically, this is what you would see in a pond, right? Like lily pads. But sadly, there is no water, there are no frogs, there are no fish. But the flowers are there, and the lilies are there. So, that's a beautiful thing. Whenever I see something green or growing, it means transformation and change to me. And the sun is rising, or perhaps setting, into or out of the cup itself. There are symbols on the cup that represent the passage of time, decades going by. And this was upside down. So be careful. Okay, we're good. Okay. Shh. Excuse me, I'm sorry. There's a lot going on. You can't hear it, but I can. I'm getting interrupted. Sorry about that. Be careful what you do with your heart. Love is the answer to many things, but love with discernment. If something makes you feel bad in your stomach, then it is bad. Listen to your heart. Your brain is stupid. Your brain is the ego, your heart is the spirit. And your heart knows the difference between what right and wrong. And your heart knows what's good for you. And it's okay to walk away from things that are hurting you or that are not good for you. You can say, oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, this situation or this relationship, well, it's not good for me, but at least it's not XYZ. But if something is not giving you room to grow, feeding your dreams, then why would you want to be involved in it? Would you go to college and pay money for a course that teaches you something that you have no freaking use for in the real world and that you don't have any interest in whatsoever? No, of course not. Relationships are the same idea. We invest time and resources and emotional labor and physical labor into relationships. And I feel like some of you have been doing the heavy lifting in the relationship, trying to connect to the other person, trying to have common interests, trying to spend time together, have date night, what have you, while the other side of the relationship is not meeting you halfway, not even close. And you're hanging on because you're afraid to be alone. You're afraid of a lot of things that are directly related to that. And it's complicated like a tree with many branches, right? Like we could go down that road, but we're not going to. Because the message that I'm getting from this card is that there is fear that in the future you are going to have a choice. But to step forward without the fear being the boss of you is the most empowering thing you can ever do for yourself. To stand on your own 2 feet and say, you know what? Man, woman, or genderqueer, doesn't matter. I don't need a partner who's not here to build me up and help me to be a better person, help me to grow into my highest capacity and reach my full potential. If we don't reach our full potential in this life, we will come back again and again and again until we get it right. So I ask you, what is in your best interest? Like, what do you want for your life? Because ultimately it's your decision, right? Like, you have to find some way to fit all these puzzle pieces together. We don't always have control over our relationships. Sometimes there are cultural expectations, religious expectations where, we need to marry somebody. Maybe our parents, matched us up with somebody, or maybe in our religion we have to stay married. We're not allowed to divorce. So you find another way to get your needs fulfilled, like going to school or having friends or something. But putting your energy into the marriage or the relationship, at least the emotional labor and resources, if you're not getting something back for it, it's like a set of scales. It's just like this, right? And those are not scales anymore, right? So if you're able to balance those scales out, it's going to be so much better for you in the long run. And I made a mistake. The Four of Pentacles was actually upside down. And so if I read this upside down, what it means is that the person is grateful. And they do feel accomplished. And they do know that they have a mission that they're moving towards, as opposed to standing still, which is what I said before. So when we put all these cards together, what I see is that in the distant past, somebody moved out of their parents' home, I would say 3 to 7 years ago. And for some of you, it might not be moving out of your parents' home. It might just be starting a journey of some kind. You might have gotten into a master's degree program or whatever it is for you. But this journey started, and work had to be done, a trade had to be learned, labor had to happen, accomplishments were made, and now standing still, we can take stock. We can see that we've done a good job, and we can feel motivated to move forward. Even though we're kind of pausing for a second to catch our breath, but we're going to be moving forward, and we're looking forward to that. And now that I think about that being reversed, it actually changes the meaning of the King of Rods as well. The King of Rods is looking back and seeing all of the things that he's accomplished and feeling proud of himself. He's not moving backward as like regressing. He's still moving forward. But he's taking a minute and he's pausing and he's looking at all that he's accomplished, and he's probably proud of himself because moving up from a 4 to a king, that's a lot of cards in between a 4 and a king. So that's a pretty big move. So that does change the meaning of that. Now, whatever your question might have been, if it wasn't already answered, the card in the middle was either the answer to your question or it represented you, or both. So if you feel like you've been fighting a battle and you finally figured out the solution, the answer, you're now victorious, then you may be exhausted. You may be feeling the heavy weight of the fact that you've been fighting for so long. And even though you won, it's almost hard to celebrate because now you're like tired, right? You're like, oh my God, okay, wow, I just got into this like big old fight and I won, but I can't even be happy about the fact that I won and I kicked everybody's butt and there's like 6 other people and I'm only one and woohoo, but I can't celebrate right now because I'm tired. I'm exhausted and all I can do is just stand here. Not even smiling, just stand here. So many of us, many of you, collective, have overcome some really big challenges, but we have to, excuse me for a second, I don't know why this did this. We have to find a way, excuse me. I'm actually doing this because my Instagram stopped working, so I have to restart it again. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about the interruption. We have to find a way to give ourselves that moment because it's been a long time. I'm sorry, I just realized my TV was on. It's been a long time since we've actually been able to stop and catch our breaths. And a lot of us feel like we don't even deserve it or like we can't. Like we just have to keep moving and fighting and so forth. But guess what? You can stop and catch your breath. Look. You won. You're the last man standing. Like, none of the other people that you were fighting are standing up anymore. Like, you're the last one. So you can catch your breath for a minute. Take a day. Take a half of a day. Go to the beach. Go to the frickin' park. Do something, right? Because in order for you to be able to come to your eclipse moment, which is in your near future, where you're going to be making some major decisions, and you're going to need to be able to know who to trust with your heart, you have to take that time now. Self-care, take a bath, take a shower, go for a walk. I mean, you know, you can do all this other stuff, right? You can go out in nature, you can journal, you can try meditation, you can try yoga. Like, you don't have to be a yogi to do some stretches and then you breathe through that part of your body, right? Like if your lower back hurts, you do a gentle stretch and you breathe and you kind of imagine like you're breathing through your back. I know that sounds really weird, but it works. There's dancing. You don't have to be a dancer on Broadway to dance. Singing is so much fun. Like, oh my God, it's magical, right? It's magical. Sing like nobody's listening. It's really, really fun. Hanging out with your family, just going for a walk, controlled breathing. If nothing else, like let's say you have a house full of kids, or your family's over, your aunts and uncles and your mom and dad, or all whatever, you can sit wherever you are and just be mindful of your breath. Just pay attention to your breath. It's so simple, and it really works because the part of your brain that starts getting activated when you're really stressed out, your amygdala, is back here. And that's in control of your breathing when you're not thinking about it. But your breathing is one of the only things that is controlled by both of your central nervous system responses, right? So your autonomic and your sympathetic and your parasympathetic, you can switch back and forth when you are mindful in your breathing. And so what that does is it brings the blood flow and the electrical, believe it or not, the electrical currents, which are in your brain, from your amygdala up to your cortex and your prefrontal cortex. So that's where you can think, and that's where you can calm down. Like literally, Navy SEALs, Green SEALs, they teach these people to go under horrific battle conditions. They do terrible things in training in order to be able to go out onto the field and do their job, right? And be badass. Breathing, controlled breathing, is one of the primary tools that they use. That's a fact. It's in the Marines too. Now I'm in America. There's a lot of different countries with different militaries, and I'm sure that they all have good training, and I don't believe in any violence anyway. But they train them, and that's what they do, and it's really, really cool. And one other thing that I think should maybe be said, being charitable. Being charitable can mean feeding someone who's living outside. Give them a meal. Give a person $5 or £5 or €5, 5 drachmas, or I forget what the money is in India. I'm so sorry, I'm not as smart as I used to be. Taking the time to smile. Donating used clothing or household goods to a charity. Volunteering your time for one day at a soup kitchen or something. And if we're not able to do those things financially, we can find other ways. We can go onto social media and find something that we believe in and repost it. So maybe we can't donate $20, but maybe somebody else can, and we can repost it, or whatever it might be. But being consciously aware of the fact that we're all in this together, like we really are. The law of one means that we are all connected. This has been proven in physics laboratories, that when they manipulated an atom and a proton in one part of the world in a very controlled environment, another one very, very far away in an extremely controlled environment responded as if it was being manipulated in the same way. The law of one says that quantum theory is real, and we are all one life form, one intelligence, experiencing itself subjectively. So what I do to you, you do to me. And what we do to the least among us, we do to ourselves. So at the end of the day, did I do something kind? Did I do one kind thing? Did I pause and take a breath? Did I tell my family that I love them? These are things that I think that we should all do. And if you're already doing that, kudos to you. That's awesome. Anyway, that's about it for me tonight. I hope that you're all having a blessed day, morning, and afternoon, and night. And I wish you peace, love, joy, and happiness. Please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website. I'm still getting my shit together, so it might not be super organized, but I am definitely doing my best. And I'm very grateful that you spent your time here with me. And I'll see you again next time. Don't forget, I do readings, so hit me up. Maybe we can work something out and I can help you. Okay, thank you so much. Love you all. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Take care, guys. Love ya. Hope you're having a blessed day, or night, depending on where you are. I'm just going to go ahead and invite somebody to this, in case she's interested to be here. 1 second. I don't know how to stop this. And I suppose I could also go live on Insta. Okay, bye. I'm not quite sure how well that'll work. I'll see you later. Have a great night. Have a great day. much for coming to join me on my video today. Hopefully you can see with what I'm doing here. Let's see. I'm trying to just give us a good spot for this reading so you can see what's going on. Hopefully you can see pretty well there. Alright, cool. I think that'll work. So, first things first, we need to start off by figuring out what cards want to be read today. And so that's a little process that I like to go through. I've got some crystals here and some water and some salt and a few of the items that help me with my energy and spiritual work. I am a channeler and a medium. I also do tarot cards. I work with divining rods and a variety of other tools to help me communicate with energies, entities, elementals, and more. Before we started, I meditated on the cards and cleansed the space. So we should be having a nice meeting or this morning, depending on where you are. So we're going to figure out what we're going to do first. Come on in this journey. I have 13 decks to choose from, so it might take just a minute for us to figure out which deck we're going to use first. Let's see. Take the truth out. Just listening to my guides. Just listening to my guides as they give me I never do any of my work alone. I always have at least one guide, but typically I have five guides from heaven